Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Geoff Gordon, Executive Director with the Fuse Commercial Flooring Alliance. Geoff, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Kemp, and it's always great to talk to you.
I wanted to catch up because you just got back from your fall board meeting in Atlanta, and you brought in a bunch of your supply base, and I wanted to kind of get a read on how things were going. Before we get to that, our listeners should know this is a large group of commercial flooring contractors. And for those that are interested in how the business is on the commercial side, tell us how is business.
You know, our business is good. So we're tracking at about 5 to 6% up versus last year. And we're thinking and believing that we're going to be good through the end of 24. In 25, which everybody's been like, you know, could be terrible, could be okay, whatever. We're feeling pretty good about 2025, mainly because our backlogs are good. And our business activity really hasn't slowed down.
You know, this is interesting, especially those people who watch the Architectural Billing Index, which has been negative. It's been in the red or below 50 for over a year now. So you're still anticipating some good business in 25.
Yes. And I saw the number went down again in August, you know, via your FloorDaily.net. And it's just not translating into what we're doing.
All right. So what kind of feedback did you get from your supply base on how their business is and what their outlook is?
I want to add real quick, we did something different this year. We always go to Chattanooga. This year we decided to go to Atlanta at the Battery. And the beauty about being there, we're 10 minutes from Certified Finishes, which is Mark Hutto's business. You know, he's the president of the board. So we held our meetings there, which was really fun because it got our board of directors to see his operation, which is impressive. And I think the suppliers enjoyed, you know, visiting us there as opposed to going to a hotel and being in a meeting room. So that was exciting and fun. In terms of business conditions, the suppliers were really very different in what they told us. Some felt that business was slowing down in 24 and they didn't have a very positive outlook for 25. And others told us that 24 has been better than they expected, and their forecasts for 25 are improving. So this is the first time that I can recall we've been in a meeting where the suppliers were not all on the same page in terms of how they see not only this year, but 2025.
That's very interesting. So what do you think the delta is? Why are some up and some down?
You know, I think a lot of it's just based on their current business. And, you know, their backlogs, just like, you know, we look at them, their backlogs aren't as long as ours, of course. So, but I found that fascinating. The other things that came up that I thought were interesting is that some felt the corporate sector was getting better. We feel the corporate sector is getting better. You know, some projects have broken loose. And of course, you know, yesterday, the Fed cut the interest rate 0.5 point. You know, we'll wait and see what that does, but it certainly can't hurt.
That's right. It may be 6 months before we feel that, but at least it's a move in the right direction.
Exactly. I want to add one more thing. The other significant things that came up in this meeting is every supplier there introduced a new PVC-free product. During those presentations, multiple suppliers mentioned Gensler and Perkins and Will because those design firms are taking a hard stand against vinyl, as you know. So this is going to be the big push that we see moving forward, is there's going to be a lot of products in that space, and I think there's going to be a lot of demand for PVC-free products.
Well, that's interesting. So what segments are performing right now?
You know, they're still pretty much the same. I mean, for us, education and healthcare are still very strong. You know, everybody's talking about the multifamily business being off. You know, we're not a huge player in that arena, but we play there. We feel it's pretty good. Hospitality is good. And corporate, you know, obviously corporate has a long way to go, but it's certainly doing better than it was this same time last year.
And that's because, I mean, this big news about Amazon, you know, next year you got to come back to work. I mean, that's a factor, but also companies are deciding that it's time to change the space to accommodate the current load, right?
And that's the feedback we got, and not only from our suppliers, but from the board members that attended, that there's just more activity, whether they're building out spec suites, remodeling an area because somebody took more space, took less space. And of course, anytime there's any activity in a building, the flooring always gets replaced.
All right. So on a personal note for you, I know you just moved from Houston to Austin, right?
Yeah, we did. It was a Herculean effort. I'm glad we're settled.
You just moved in last week, and I guess multiple factors, but one had to be the weather. I thought about you every time a storm went over Houston.
Well, with the weather and the power kept going out, and it seems a little more stable here. But honestly, it was really about family. We have kids and grandkids here, so we're excited to be much closer to them.
Geoff, well, it's great to catch up with you. I've been talking to Geoff Gordon, Executive Director with Fuse, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.